Welcome to Real Talk with Chris and Ross. Yes, we're excited. Episode number 16 here, our continuation that we do every week, our weekly podcast. We are tuning in to the audience out there that is uniquely probably connected to our real estate industry, since Ross and I both have been in the real estate world for, together combined almost 30 years, 3 decades of real estate history here. So we're talking to that for the audience that are listening, but also, we're open to hopefully share some ideas here that will intrigue the minds of those that are entrepreneurial, right? Entrepreneurial minded people that are forward thinkers, people that are big thinkers, people that are open minded, coachable ones, right? So I feel like no matter what place you're on in life, if you're open minded and coachable, you will definitely soak in some of this stuff, and hopefully we can provide you some nuggets. So let's talk today with my guest, always every week, Ross Rawson the third out in Michigan. Welcome, brother.
What's happening? How are we doing today?
Oh man, life is good. The sun is up and I'm alive. That's the best you can ask for, right?
Hey, I have a saying for that, but I don't know if I'm going to say it on the Real Talk with Chris. It's above grass kicking. You finish the rest, right?
I love it. Above grass kicking ass. I love it.
Oh, hey, see, Real Talk with Chris, man.
That's
He's going
right.
to keep it
Oh,
real.
hell yeah. Real talk, kicking ass. I mean, you're kicking ass. I love it. You
Above
should be
grass,
kicking ass.
Yeah,
Yep.
man.
And don't forget taking names. I love that. Kicking ass and taking names, right?
That's right.
Authority. You have authority
That's right.
there. I
Come
love it.
on.
Awesome.
Yeah, man, things are going great. I'm so excited for this episode. We got a lot of good things we're going to cover on this one.
Absolutely. I think, it's kind of timely. I've heard it over and over again. In fact, probably everybody, whoever has a podcast or some kind of talk show or something right now has been talking about this subject over and over. It's kind of like beating a dead horse. It's the market shift, whatever you want to call it. It's not a market crash. Everybody out there listening, it is not a market crash. If you want to keep calling it a market crash, you obviously don't know anything about real estate and you never really went through a real market crash. But I just call it like a realignment, like we're realigning our.
Yeah, we're finding that base again, right? I mean,
Yeah.
things have to adjust. I mean, if you look back even in the 1930s of what houses sold for to where they're at now, things have gone consistently up, but they've had pullbacks, right?
Every time. Well, it's that like what comes up must go down theory in life, right? It's the universe, the laws. You cannot beat the law of attraction, law of universe, law of lid, law of everything, reciprocity. There's a certain reason why there's a law, and it's for that purpose, right? So we are now living in the law of realigning, if you want to call it, right? And
I like that.
So regardless of however you want to call it, look at it. I think it doesn't matter whether I think you've been in the business for one day or you've been in the business for 10, 20, 30, or 40 years. Everybody has been affected by this realignment because it's kind of naturally designed that way, where if you're going parallel to something and you're flowing with it, and then all of a sudden that instant flow takes a turn quick right, and you're still going straight, you're going to have to figure out how to realign and make adjustments. So it doesn't matter how good you are, how smart you are, how anything you are, how excellent. And let's be honest, anybody who thinks they were amazing in 2020, 21, and 22, I'm sorry, I'm not here to burst your bubble, but it was not you. It was the market, right? It was the market. The market was on fire. A monkey could sell real estate. And that's no disrespect again, anyway.
For sure, too. But, you bring up a lot of good points just in general. Isn't that the exciting thing about being an entrepreneur, though, is not just you learning how to adjust and learning how to, like you said, if you keep going straight and you're going in the wrong direction and it is taking a right and you're not taking the right with the market. I mean, that's what I love about being an entrepreneur. I mean, for those of you listening, I'm sure you probably also love it too, is that you're finding out the things that do work and don't work, finding out the market conditions that are applying in your market and acknowledging them for what they really are, rather than just thinking that it's this doomsday thing. Right. It doesn't need to be a doomsday approach when we are in a shift or in a realignment. Right.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think it's all perspective, right? Everything is always perspective. Is the glass half full? Or is the glass half empty? Right. It's that everybody has that version and vision of what they see that glass to be. And me personally, I just look at it as a glass. I don't care whether it's half full or half empty. If it's half full, then I'm just going to drink it. If it's half empty, well, I'm going to add more to it. Like that's how I think.
Chris, I honestly take you as a glass half full kind of guy, though. You might say it's just a glass, but knowing you're a glass half full kind of guy.
I think everybody's approach on life can be very distinctly different, but nonetheless, I think you're right. And it's all, again, I just totally believe it's all perspective and in our alignment of what we how and view things, how we see things, right? And like you're saying, they have those those crowd of individuals that are kind of sitting on the bleachers up there in the background, and they're like all doomsday, negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
Those people find more time and energy about trying to find the bad things that are happening in life instead of actually finding what's the good things in life, and we can take that back to a piece of gratitude, right? I mean, we can really go back that far. If we want to really unfold this, it's like, okay, get deeper with it. It's about being grateful. Gratitude is attitude, right? Everything. So
for sure. And to your point, right? Like if you're going to be in this business of real estate or really any business, you are going to go through multiple markets throughout your career, right? So it's kind of something to look forward to kind of put on your resume of, hey, yeah, no, I went through that market. I understood that market, rather than having that approach of like, oh my gosh, I got to deal with this again, right? Like this is a good thing to be in a career, to have understanding, to learn more information. So because of that though, Chris, we were kind of talking before, about the people that are on the whole get rich quick scheme of real estate in these shifts, or really in any market. What are your thoughts on, kind of that message that can be portrayed of get instant results in real estate right in 7 days, or get 7 listings in, 4 days and all that stuff? I want to hear more about your thoughts on that, as we are in a different market and we're seeing these things come out.
Well, I guess my first response to that is that there is no such thing as quick and easy. Let's just get that out of the way, right?
So you don't like microwave dinners?
No, not when it comes to building any kind of business, right? Whether it's a real estate business, any entrepreneurial type business, right? If you talk to the Grant Cardones, the Tony Robbins, the Brunson, those guys had built legacies and generations of success, but it was never anything that was done instantly.
Mm-hmm.
That we attributed to their success. It was an ongoing, consistent thing. And every story you talk, every success story, anybody you've ever interviewed or talked or watched or listened to will tell you everything. If you really listen to their story, it always had a beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And the beginning was years before, developing, trial, error, ups, downs, sideways, left, rights, tragedies, successes, wins, right? All of the above. So my response, I guess, to the first you say is that, number one, there is no such thing as a fast, quick thing. And the reality, problem I think we've had is we've ingrained that in the minds. If we're talking specifically real estate, since our channel is real estate related, if the minds of realtors in the last decade or more, we've embraced the level of technology, which I'm not against it. I'm a pro technology person. Progress. I'm all about progress too. I believe 100% in progress. Progress is good to a certain level. It's a double-edged sword, sometimes a necessary evil. But the reality is, with every bit of progress, there's always something that has to take the brunt, a sacrifice.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Yeah, because we only have so many minutes and hours in a day, correct? So if we're going to put something into something else, we have to take from some other area.
Absolutely. It's a balance. It's checks and balances. Nothing ever goes, as we've seen everything in the market, it's never been all full board and no ramifications. There's always a recourse. For every action, there's a reaction. So my point in saying it is that the level of progress we have now encountered in our careers as real estate, or just in general with the economy and society, we've really automated ourselves completely out of a business. Right? We really have. We're like, so what's the quickest way? I mean, it started, let's go back. It started like with Zillow leads, right? It started with the online leads. It started with how do we eliminate this everyday, mundane, crappy, every realtor hates to lead generate. Let's just be honest and raise our hand. Raise our hand that one. It's like, yep, that's me.
Yep.
There's not a person on this planet. In fact, if you go back to the mind, it is not wired to be someone of that stature. You actually have to train yourself to be a lead generation, a prospect individual. Your mind doesn't default to that automatically. Nobody's does.
For sure. Right? Yeah. And at times too, right, is that I notice as well, even in myself and, training other team members or just talking to other agents throughout the industry, there's kind of like this self-talk of like, oh, well, because I don't feel like I want to do this, and every time I attempt it, I feel that I'm not making progress. They almost attribute that to, well, maybe I'm not hitting or doing the right thing in my career, when it's really the opposite, right? Like you said, no one's born into picking up the phone, making 1,000 calls and connecting with people and showing genuine effort adding contribution without asking for anything consistently over and over and over and over to get this result just naturally. It's just not. So, that feeling of, oh, this feels like it's not right. Sometimes we blind ourselves by, no, this is the right activity to be doing. Right.
100%. And so it's interesting. There's like certain behavioral patterns that we have to ingrain in ourselves. One of them is to create consistent habits, right? And the lead generating piece is that, like, how do we, the consistency to every realtor's business, if you want a consistent level of business, it must include daily lead generating and prospecting in your daily activities, period. Period. If you are going through a roller coaster of business, ups and downs, ebbs and flows, I can promise you 1,000%. Let me look at your calendar and let me see what your lead generation and prospecting looks like. Is it time blocked in there? Because if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist, right? That's the theory. So number one, if you have that first challenge, that's the first place I'd look at. But I mean, we're talking about, let's go back to your side. I could literally go on freaking rabbit holes there. But so number one, automate ourselves out of a business. This reality, I think, is entitled a lot of real estate agents that now have become adapted to the easy button of how do I get things quickly and fast? They want it tomorrow. Yes, the microwave theory, without the least amount of work, which, okay, let's be honest, every human being does. Our natural instinct is always to find the path of least resistance. It's just how we behave. So it's no different why we should think, wow, okay, I want to find the easiest way I could get prospects, clients into my business portfolio, into my database without actually having to go do the things I don't naturally want to do. Awesome. Let's go to Zillow. Let's go pay some money. Let's throw money at it and I'll buy that. It's like I'm buying time or I'm buying equity, right? And that's the kicker right here. So for years, people have been throwing money at things like Zillow and Realtor.com and Trulia as the leads, online leads, which now if you come together and many top respected individuals in this sector of real estate and hierarchy have made several interviews and comments about saying the specific thing that goes to my mind is that model is 1,000% not sustainable. 100%. It may work, right, for a few deals, but it's not sustainable.
I want to touch on something too, because you bring up a really good point back to your, initial point of no one really wants to make those calls or continue to prospect every day. However, back to the paying for Zillow of leads, you're just paying someone else to force you into a conversation on the phone with a lead. So it's you're already going back to that first position of I have to have good skills and good scripts and understandings of how to communicate, how to actually convert. Right. And, it's funny that we go out and pay the Zillow to then give us the same approach that we would just have if we were just making the calls ourselves. Right.
Oh, yeah. And they're paying for that. And then to add to what you're saying, I'll piggyback the fact that, so you get these leads, but you don't have the skill set to be able to convert these leads. You don't have the dialogues, the scripts. And I love that word, scripts. This is the most underrated, not respected skill set in the industry of real estate. I guess I'm using the right words. People overlook scripts like it's completely unnecessary. And I could promise you right now, if I put two people in a room with two different clients, one is well scripted, the other one is not. I'll tell you exactly who will win that every time. Every time. And that's where we're missing.
I want to plug in though, that if we have that missing piece here at Team Freedom, right? Every Monday
we do scripts.
We use scripts. So if you don't know scripts, we got you, man. We can run through those and actually make those practice efforts.
Yep, it is every Monday. I mean, because I realize that is, we talk about this market being a skill-based market. That's exactly what it is. This is the perfect opportunity to really shine and polish all of your areas in which you need to be great at, right? This is the time for that. This is not a time for you to go open your pocketbook and your checkbook and go write another $4,000 or $5,000 to go buy the next shiny object or gimmick that's trying to sell you on the idea and concept of, oh, I could actually give you, like you said, 7 listing appointments or 7 listing clients in 7 days for just $6.99. Sign up for my monthly. It's a proven success method. No, it's not. Stop playing that field of Santa Claus and the freaking Tooth Fairy, everybody. Holy shit. Come on. Nothing in life worth having comes for free. You work hard for everything that's worth having, period. It's been like that in every area of your life. So why would it not be different now? So yeah, number one, I'm frustrated, if you can tell, a little frustrated with hearing people talk about every little cool gimmick and glitch and spend money here and spend money there
Mhm.
so they can actually get some results without doing some damn work.
For sure. And the thing is too, is that it's the reinventing of the wheel all the time. The number one thing that saved me in the beginning of my business was I had that same mindset that I was going to go out and pay. I was going to go out and hire this quick little simple solution. And thank God I had good coaches and mentors to tell me, Ross, you're trying to reinvent the wheel. You just need to hit your KPI that we showed you each day, and you're going to get the same results. And it's what happens, I've noticed though, Chris, and I'm sure you can relate, is as we start our real estate career, or maybe we get through a shift like we're in right now, right? And then all of a sudden we're not, like you said, getting the results that we expected. So now we're thinking, oh, it's just because I'm not doing, this new product that everyone else is on. So, I'm going to go run over here, right?
Mhm.
And the thing is though, is it's just a distraction. And oftentimes too, I've noticed that it kind of sets more people up for failure in the business because they do this model, they don't get the results that they wanted. Now they feel like they're failing in the original plan that they had, the new plan that they had, and a lot of people go, maybe real estate's not for me.
Right.
But that's not the truth.
Yeah. It's not hard to do real estate. If we're really being honest, it's not hard to do. If
Yeah.
you have any level of accountability, any level of discipline, any level of a drive to want more in life, real estate is for you.
Yeah.
It's just selling houses. I mean, let's really dissect that. Come on. You're not a brain neurosurgeon. You're not a NASA astronaut. You're not building a spaceship to go to the moon.
Mhm.
You're actually just helping people buy a home. And I'm not trying to water this down and make it like insignificant. But
Mhm.
I think too many people put this thing on a pedestal that's completely out of reach because the amount of money that you can make, they kind of contributed to that of success, right? Well, I make
Mhm.
a lot of money. Well, I know a lot of guys who make a lot of money, but they can't tie their shoes. Okay. You got a lot of people who make a lot of money, but they can't spell their name. Okay. So making a lot of money does not make you anybody of high caliber or
Mhm.
unique. And again, I'm not knocking you because you make money. That's not here intended
No.
whatsoever. That's probably should be our first disclaimer, huh? Anything
Yeah.
we say during this podcast is not designed to discredit or diminish or water down anybody or anything. We are
Correct. It's
just
just
pure
we're keeping it
facts.
real. We're just keeping it
Keeping it
real on.
real.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Yeah,
got to keep it real.
facts. I live life off of facts because facts don't lie. Fact is humans are lazy. That's a fact. Fact is humans want the path least resistance. That's a fact. The fact is if everybody could win the lottery tomorrow and live their life and not ever have to financially worry about anything ever again, that's a fact.
Yeah.
Nobody in this world would not take that. 3 facts that are real hardcore facts. Now, if we break those down and like not everybody's the percentage of winning the lottery is like minuscule. So that
Yeah.
means we really got to go to work. If we want to
Yep.
have that level of lottery money and that lifestyle, then we got to make it happen. And the only
Mm,
way we can make it happen is we actually get out of the corporate world and that rat race. So then we
mm.
jump into this entrepreneurial mindset where there's no limitations, no boundaries, no walls, no ceilings. Sky's the limit. But then we put our human nature, which is our belief systems, our insecurities, who we identify ourselves as, our habits are horrible, no disciplines, no accountability. I mean, we can go on.
Yeah.
And those are our deflectors that just keep us in this turtle shell,
Yep.
maybe reaching that opportunity.
To your point too, you brought up winning the lottery, and a lot of people would take that option. And if we look at if we look at the data, to your point, of the people that have won the lottery but then reverted back to being broke, it's not because they, maybe spent all their money poorly. It's because in the base point of their mindset, if they were only accustomed to making 100,000 a year, they're making $100,000 a year decisions. Okay.
Yeah.
So when they're going out and they get millions, they don't have the understanding of the building to that. So what do? They spend it all. They do the same thing, their mindset. So that's a powerful thing that you bring up on mindset.
Well, it's actually a behavior. I had this saying that making money is action, keeping money is behavior, growing money is knowledge.
Mm,
And that's so true, right? It's who you identify yourself as. That book we're reading for our book of the month with Team Freedom
Atomic
Atomic
Habits,
Habits
yeah.
by James Clear. It's amazing to look at things, how you break things down into layers of really dissecting what's really going on.
Mm,
Why am I really not reaching my goals? I want to lose 50 pounds this year. I want to have a better marriage. I want to have a better relationship. I want to make X amount of dollars this year, right? Goals,
Mhm.
outcomes.
Mm.
But for some reason, we don't. I mean, I looked at statistically, I think it's like 96% of the people never even finish their New Year's resolutions.
Mm.
Like only 6% actually even finish their goals. It's ridiculous. And most people don't even have them.
You know, one of the things I've noticed that really opened this up to my own self, because and I know you know this, Chris, but oftentimes we give ourselves more credit and we think we're deserving of more than actually the effort we're putting in.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
this is a very common thing throughout, I would say, pretty much all walks of life, right? In all industries. And one of my favorite things that I heard was the hire and fire workshop. But not only to rehire the qualities that you like about yourself and fire the qualities that you don't, but to ask yourself, would I hire myself to run this business? And oftentimes, if I'm going to be honest with myself, I've had to fire me thousands of times.
Yeah.
Fire my time management skills, fire the fact that I'm not prospecting, and I've had to let me go and say, all right, we're going to hire Ross 2.0, and this 2.0 is actually going to get things done. But this is a thing too, though, right? Like, to acknowledge and actually take note. It's not a bad thing to have that mirror in front of you sometimes, to even acknowledge that maybe you're not doing the things, or that you are in that position, because that gives you the power to
100%.
change. Yeah.
100%. Well, the willingness for sure, right? The power and willingness. The power is one thing. The willingness to be able to accept it is the second thing, right? And
Hmm.
actually even executing it is probably the third, right?
Mm.
Understanding, recognizing willingness and executing, right? Where are you executing?
Wow. I heard something the other day. It's about how, we're talking about education, and throughout, are we lacking education? And someone said, we're not lacking education, we're lacking application.
Mhm.
We all
100%.
have the education. We all know what we're supposed to do. It's the application to what we know we're supposed to do. Right?
Absolutely. 100%. And that goes back to, are our habits consistently doing the things, daily routines that are adding up to those applications or to those execution marks? Are we truly executing at the level consistently and habitually? If we don't have those built and ingrained into us, then we obviously are never going to make the goals we're making, right? Which,
Hmm.
it's a double-edged sword, because habits could be bad habits too, right? Eating fast food, bad dieting, drinking alcohol, we're trying to stop, not exercising. Those are all habits that we've ingrained ourselves, because naturally it's easier just not to do the things that we don't really want to do. It's like, okay, it just adverse reaction. That's like, I'll just not do it. And that's a habit. That's a
Hmm.
habit, right? I habitually do not want to go to the gym. I habitually want to keep drinking alcohol. I
Hmm.
habitually want to keep smoking cigarettes, right? They say it took you years to stop smoking. No, it didn't. It took you one day. It took you
Yeah.
a day. It took you years to think about doing it and gaining up the muster to do it, but it took you one
Hmm.
day to actually quit, right? And there's a lot that I actually have this thing I was reading about the other day about fear. Fear is the universal energy and behavioral pattern that innately is in every human being. Not one human being on this planet is immune to the fear gene.
Mm.
And it's fear in so different many ways, right? Fear of letting somebody down, fear of rejection, fear of not meeting your goals, fear of not showing up who you want to be, fear of even looking in the mirror and seeing who you really are, right?
Mm.
Fear of everything. It starts as a child. As kids, we get fear. Then it grows into us as adults, but we take it into our life, and it inhibits us from doing things we need to do. So, if we want to talk about that, we can go back to base. So, yeah, we kind of really branched off from your initial
Oh yeah.
question,
Yeah. But
right?
it's been great. I mean, we got a ton of good stuff
Yeah.
happening right here.
So, but I think the next piece is like, okay, we've firmly established there's no freaking quick, easy way. There's just none.
Hmm.
So stop thinking that shit exists, everybody, first off,
That's
and
right.
quit complaining and bitching about how everything sucks, and just suck it up and let's get to work. It determines on what you want in life. If you want to be successful, then it's time to just really go gangbusters, do what you got to do.
Come on.
So this is a skill-based market. Number one, how are you improving your skills, right? And what are you doing to improve your skills? Scripts, number one, understanding people's personality types. Number two, right? What are your daily activities? Number three, is your calendar match your daily activities, your habits? Number four, if it's not, then you need to fix that too, right?
Hmm.
And am I consistent and parallel to what I'm trying to achieve in my life? Is every bit of my life really focused towards that or against it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, am I in alliance? Am I in alignment? Am I parallel to what my goals, dreams, ambitions are? Or am I completely opposite, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can consciously say we are, but our subconscious is the real gangbuster. The subconscious is what controls everything, people.
That's right. And to your point, once you come to these identifying concepts of who you are, all these things you're laying out, right? We don't have to sit in it. We
No.
don't. We can take action. You know, one of my coaches early on, I was in that stage, right? I wasn't hitting my, metrics. I wasn't on time with my appointments. I was just putting things in my calendar to feel busy and look busy to give myself like, oh yeah, you're doing things. But I wasn't. And he said to me, he goes, Ross, why is that in your calendar if you haven't done it in 5 days? And he goes, obviously you're just not going to do it. And so he goes, create a calendar that you're actually going to do. And then he looked at me and he said, Ross, and he snapped his fingers. He goes, you're already productive right now.
Yeah.
He goes, it's over. Let it go. You already acknowledged, move on, let it go. Like you can literally, if you're listening to this podcast right now, maybe you identify with some of the stuff that Chris just said. You can literally identify, and the minute we snap the fingers, identify that you are productive and go be productive. You
Right.
can go out and just do it now. You don't have to sit and go, well, I dragged for 2 months and now I'm not getting the results I want. That's okay. But it's going to be a lot worse in 4 months from now if we don't even correct it today.
100%.
Yeah.
It's going to be a delayed agony of defeat is what it's going to be. It's like slowly cutting your wrist with a butter knife, right? It's like or with a paper clip. Holy crap. Like slowly cut your wrist with a paper clip. Right. But you know what? I appreciate what your coach said, because when he said that, like it's almost, Tony Robbins talks about change your physiology, change your state of mind, right? How do you get yourself out of a rut of what you've been consistently doing? Change your physiology, change your state of mind. And it's that quick. Like you can do it that quick if you want
Literally.
to, that quick. And your coach was right, for you to be like not reaching your production, not reaching your goals, not reaching your responsibilities, not reaching your daily activities, your duties that require to be there. It was like a sense of disappointment. You were disappointed in yourself.
Yeah.
And when you disappoint yourself, then you lose the wind in your sail. Then you lose all your mojo, right? Because then it's like, I'm defeated. I'm deflated. But for you to instantly say, boom, hey, you just did that one thing. That was a win. And I want everybody to understand that. Listen to this. It's all about the wins. Big or small is a win. And a win mentally will point in your mind to let you know that you are moving in the right direction of positivity.
Correct.
It's got a series of those.
Yeah. Right. And if you're like, for instance, setting your alarm clock for 5 a.m. and already that you're going to snooze and then you're not going to wake up till 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, you are actually setting yourself up for less success if you just set the alarm clock for 6 a.m. Because when you actually wake up at 6 and you're like, yeah, I woke up at 6, boom, you got to win. You feel now, because again, we're validating the concept to the unconscious, to the actual subconscious. We're saying to ourselves, this is what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to do it. So then when we roll up on every appointment, whether it's the prospecting that we don't want to do or go on the appointment that we're nervous on, we know that we're going to show up and get it done with the same amount of effort each time. And there's no second guessing in the mind.
Yep. It's a habit ingrained that you will consistently, like breathing, like brushing your teeth, like getting ready in the morning. It's a habit. It's ingrained in you to do it naturally. Right.
So let's circle this back then. Okay. So we talked about like how these systems and these products out there that, kind of guarantee this crazy outlandish amount of success with very little effort. If somebody's listening to this right now and they're like, well, okay, what is the right way?
I love it. Well, okay. So it's amazing. We actually had a guest speaker yesterday on our Team Freedom weekly team meetings that we have every Tuesday, right? And we had Monica DeRussell from Cincinnati, Ohio, or the greater Cincinnati, Ohio area, who actually was the #1 Remax agent for like 7 years in a row running. But what's even more remarkable is not even that. Like anybody has this like, okay, awesome. I was 6 years in a row. I was #1, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I'm not taking that away from you again, but that doesn't really excite me anymore. It doesn't, because anybody can really achieve that. It's not like it's like impossible to reach that level. But what was more remarkable was understanding her background and her story and how she got to where she's at. Because she is the true epitome of this design by testimony and by results, that she truly worked herself into an amazing business. She didn't go pay some money for an overnight success that really didn't exist. She went and realized that it required hard work, which was nothing new to her.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from Ukraine, from a country that she mentioned was a communist country, that literally everybody was on the same playing field. There was never anybody outreaching anybody else. So your future was glim at best. Holy crap. Can you imagine that here in America? Like if literally your future was like, this is it. I'm going to live, work my whole entire life, and that's as high as I'm ever going to get.
Yeah. Sad.
Miserable.
Yeah.
But so she came to this country and realized that there is no limits. There's no lid. There's no walls. There's no boundaries. And she used her energy and she started to create an amazing, sustainable. I'm going to throw that word in there, sustainable, because even she mentioned in 2007, 8, and 9, which of those again listening was the worst fallout in the history of real estate, probably since the Great Depression of the 30s. Her business doubled and tripled, which is what really sunk into my mind. People talk about it was slow, the market was bad. It wasn't the market. It was not bad because she just proved that wrong. Her business doubled and tripled because why? She provided a service that was profitable and valuable. It was valuable enough, right? And I love what she used her analogy is I want to be the Apple of real estate, which everybody in this planet who buys an Apple phone, we all could raise our hand and say we bought a phone for $1,400 freaking dollars.
Yeah.
$1,400. And guess what? When the iPhone 50, I don't know what number are we at now. What number? I don't know what number it is, but
or 14 or something like that.
Yeah. The iPhone 14 comes out. Everybody's lining up around the building, lining up for hours, sleeping overnight in front of a building just to go get an iPhone 14, let's say, and spend another $1,400 for a phone. Why? Why do you ask that? Why do you do that? Because if you say it out loud, it sounds stupid. But why? Because people see value in Apple. They have a belief system in Apple. There's something that Apple gives them that makes them feel the way they do, that makes them come back and have zero doubts or zero qualms whatsoever about sitting in line for 5-6 hours, paying $1,400 for a phone, zero qualms. Like as easy as I'm going to go have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? And that's what she created.
That's good. Yeah. And, on that, that reminds me of that book. I know we read it in our group in Team Freedom, but it's Know Your Why by Simon Sinek. He touches on that Apple concept a lot, on like the why and how they built a brand like that. Right.
It's true.
It's good. Yeah.
The branding's everything. Marketing, like they say right now, the best, most successful people in the business is going to be about who's the best marketer. It's the best marketer. But let's clarify that real quick, because everybody out there on TikTok and Instagram that doing the whatever thing, or the girl that has pretty much no clothes on, right? And again, not disrespecting anybody, but yeah, those people, that's not marketing. I'm sorry, that's just fluff, and that's not going to get you a buyer and seller. It's not. That's not going to build you a solid relationship where someone's going to earn their trust to let them sell your home. That's not.
And to your point on the relationship point and people thinking of you and being top of mind, I heard this stat a couple of years ago, but guess how long it takes for a home buyer, once they purchase their house or sell their house, how many days it takes for them to already kind of forget their realtor?
Yeah, it was little. It was like
13 days or something like this, 14 days where they're already moved on. Right. And so that relationship and being top of mind and knowing how to effectively market and be there for that person, not just for the transaction standpoint, but in all encompassing of their life and the things that they're doing is so important.
Totally. Well, why do you think people remember Coke and Pepsi? Why do they remember Nike? Why do they remember Adidas? Why do they remember all that stuff? Because it's everywhere all the time, 24/7 in your face, marketed. It's marketed. That's why marketing is key, but it's got to be specific, intentional, direct marketing, strategic marketing, not fluff marketing, very well thought out, methodical, targeted audience marketing. So that'd be your next thing. And that's actually a whole nother, we can't really get in that. We have a whole nother thing on that, but because I'm actually working on it myself. I am building funnels, strategic ones though, direct, specific target marketing that's intentional through funnels by a proven method of Kinder Reese. I mean, those guys are master magicians at this thing. They have it figured out at a level like way beyond most of us even fathoming.
Mm.
But they're very intentional, very strategic about it, and that's why they get the results they do.
Come
Right.
on.
So, yeah, I guess back to your question then. So, hard work, hard effort. Monica really put that into a layout of how she created this business where she got her first, remember that $2 million listing? And people asked her, how'd you get your first $2 million listing?
Yeah, it's
Cleaning
just cleaning.
toilets.
Yeah.
Cleaning toilets. And there's a story to that, obviously, but
You
it's
know,
like ironic.
And right before you talk about the $2 million deal that she had, for the listeners that are listening, her story prior to that, though, I think she said she only sold like one house her first
One
year
house.
and
Yeah.
had like an $1,800 commission check or something
Yeah.
like that. So, every bit of doubt and frustration, I'm sure, was set in at that point, right?
Oh,
And
100%.
she had to overcome a ton. And I know there's people out there that when you're in that case, maybe you are the breadwinner in your family, maybe you're not. Either way, if you've only sold one house, everyone in your family, your friends, your sphere is going to say, hey, maybe this isn't a fit for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to try something else. Right.
Yep.
But she didn't do that though.
Yep.
She knew her why way greater than anyone else around her.
Absolutely. And her biggest why was she realized that she came from a country that had zero opportunity.
Mm.
And now she came to a country that allows her to have anything she wants if she just puts the effort in it. So that was her why. I mean, why would she stop? Like, she came from somewhere where there was nothing available to her ever. And then now she comes here like the world golden ticket. It was like the Willy Wonka golden ticket factory. She got it.
Yeah.
And now she actually put the rubber to the road though and proved that it does work. You're right. $1,800 application, execution, consistency, and when we talk about that book again, the Atomic Habits, there's 3 layers and which people go down deep when you peel back the onion layers, let's say, so to speak, of why you do not reach your goal. Typically, it's because there's this internal piece that most people work from the outside in. It should be from the inside out.
That's
the
good.
outside layer is your outcome, your actual result. That's it. Like, losing 50 pounds, closing 800 deals this year, whatever. That's your outcome. That's your result.
Yeah.
The middle layer, the second one, was your habits, right? What am I doing daily to get to those $800? What am I doing daily to lose 50 pounds? My habits.
Yeah. Keep going.
The interior was your identity and your beliefs.
Yep.
And your identity and your beliefs are what truly fuels the habits, which fuels the results. And so people are always trying to work on the goal. Like, I got this goal, I put on that wall. I want to lose 50 pounds, put on the wall, put in my mirror, put in my bathroom, put it everywhere, which is great. But that's not external result. That's the outcome, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you don't ever identify yourself, if your whole life you've been ridiculed and been chastised and been judged as somebody who's overweight and fat, you absolutely do not identify as a skinny, healthy person in your mind. You just don't. You don't. And so you identify yourself as this fat person who's overweight, been ridiculed their whole entire life and chastised. You do not identify and think as a skinny, healthy, in shape person. So if you can't start to identify and think as that person to create the behaviors and the habits that fueled from that, you're never going to reach your goal. You're never going to reach your goal.
Yeah, in the Miracle Morning, I know you read that book. I love that book. It talks about this it very specifically because there's a huge culture that we have, especially in the entrepreneur world, where it's say it, claim it, and own it. Right? Just say your goal and speak it and write it out. But to your point, though, unless we really break it down and go to the core of it and how it has to be processed. What are the steps? What is the actual logistics? What kind of attitudes, behaviors, and decisions do I have to make? What kind of inputs do I have to make? That's just going to be a lofty phrase, a lofty phrase that we say because our unconscious mind is going to call us out. It's going to say, BS, you're not going to lose all that weight. What do you mean? I just saw you at McDonald's earlier. Like it's going to call you out. But if you say to yourself, no, I'm committed to losing weight by eating healthy and exercising once a day to get this desired result, the unconscious mind is going to go, okay, you have a plan. You actually have an inner core plan of basic understanding. You have the logistics. This might work.
Yep. 100%. That's it. It starts there. You have to have a belief system because if you don't believe anything, nothing else above it matters. Like absolutely doesn't matter. You could have the most lofty goals and the most biggest aspirations and dreams and whatever. But if you can't believe that you actually are that person who deserves that, who lives that, who breathes that, you're never going to be it. So in
Yeah.
this real estate world, if we're talking that, you really got to get down to some basic stuff, which I do. Probably can't get into it today because we're limited to our time, but I do. I have an entire regimented training system and a program designed about that. Ways to launch and ignite my business by pure sweat equity, putting time in, energy and effort, and the results came back. I did the 30 for 30, which people really crap their pants over. Like, are you kidding me right now? 30 open house in 30 days? That's asinine. Who would do that? Yeah, this guy right here who actually proved it works.
Wow.
And closed 7 deals from that and created $60,000 in revenue in 30 days with 0 ad spend. Tell me where you're going to get that.
Come on.
Tell me where you're going to get that. So that's my point. I have all that kind of stuff that I've created and changed my agents for years on.
So what I hear you say, though, in this whole podcast, though, and at least how I'm interpreting it, is that, okay, this whole idea of this shiny object, you're going to get all these listings if you just buy this $500 program and do all these things, might not be the best idea, rather than seeking somebody maybe in the industry that you're in that already has the level of success that you have, and maybe asking this person what it would take to achieve those results and then doing those tasks. Right? Not trying to reinvent the wheel. Just go to the source of where you're trying to go and get honest feedback about what it takes.
We always say it every time. This is R&D, right? R&D, rip off and duplicate. The key to success is modeling. It's not making a new wheel. It's modeling the old wheel that's already there and it pre-existed, right? And most people try to swim upstream, trying to bang their head against the wall to think there's some new innovative idea they can throw money at to make it quicker, easier, faster, simpler, and it just does not exist. Let's just put that out. It does not exist. So stop it. Stop doing that to yourself, because that literally is self-deprecating. Stop it. You got to get yourself get your head out of your ass. I'm sorry. I'm keeping it real.
We need to get some sound effects on here, like the real Bradley, just boom.
I know.
So yeah, I know, because the energy on this right now is it's intoxicating, man. Come on.
It just fuels me because I'm so over people and their inability to open their mind and just do what they're supposed to do, right? And yes, they could rip off and duplicate. Here's the kicker, though. Most agents, about 90% of the agents I've ever coached and helped train, they all quit. It's like them starting the gym in January 1 and they quit 8 days later because they just don't have it in them to finish. They're lazy. They get it with the best intention, like, oh, I want this, but they're really not cued in to the fact that it's going to require a lot of time, energy, and effort and work. And you got to buy into that, and you got to work every day at it consistently. It's about the journey, not the destination. They always say that. And it's true to this. The journey is what you're willing to put in. Time over time, over task, over time over time. That's the journey. And if you can stop focusing on the actual result, but be committed to the action, that's the key. Commit to the action in the process, not the end result. The end result will be what it's going to be. Because if you think about it, no matter what you're committing to not doing it, committing to doing it, committing to not do it, committing to do it. Either way, that result's going to happen either way. Right? And losing weight, if you commit to losing this, losing that, doing the right diet, eating the right things, doing the great workout, okay, you can do that consistently, the outcome is going to be great. But you're going to have to be willing to wait for it, right?
Come on.
And that was one of the things, is one of the great things that is this: everything happens at a certain time. Are you willing to wait to that certain time?
That's right.
And this process right now in real estate, simple. I could literally take somebody, if they truly they have grit, desire, drive, and why, I could take anybody and make them successful. I promise that. I'll put that out there right now. But you got to be willing to commit and jump in with both feet and be willing to work. Because if you're not, then that's what it is. What it is. So yeah.
Heck yeah. Love it, man. This is, hey, we kept it real today. And you know, honestly, we brought up a ton of great topics, and we brought up on it just a real authentic look at what it does take in this market, what it does take in any market, what it takes in general, rather than just trying to sell somebody on something that's, not necessarily going to give them the best practices, but just keeping it real. This is real talk with Chris and Ross, guys. We got to go there with you.
Oh, 100%. And the reality is, if you put in the hard work right now, it'll be easier later on.
That's
if you do the hard things right now, it'll be easier later on. If you do the easy things now, it'll be harder later on. It's kind of that saying, right?
Man.
And it's so true. Because if you could build out and do the hard work, and again, Monica DeRussell is a perfect poster child for that. She put her time in. She worked that. And that's why her business doubles every year, why she closes over 150, 160 deals a year. That's why she's the number one agent in her area. Why? Because she was willing to put the work in and build all that took years. And now she is finally reaping the rewards. Everybody just sees the reward right now and has no idea what she did to get to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, hey, by the way, everyone that's listening to this, if they want to hear Monica's story, is that up on YouTube right now?
Yep, it sure is. We can post a link in there.
Cool.
It's definitely in there. It's on Team Freedom YouTube page. Every team meeting's on there, and our podcast are so every week. So,
heck
yeah. Well, awesome, man, dude. This was raw. I love it, Ross. I always this is kind of like my way to come out and do confession. I feel like this is confession time, or this is my therapy time.
They used to call me Reverend Ross back in the day, so I was just joking. I'm just joking.
Triple R, man. Reverend Ross
joking.
Rawson.
I'm just joking, man.
No, totally. I feel like this is a way for me to kind of really just say my thing and vent a little bit, kind of therapeutic in some way. Because you get bottled up and frustrated, like just hearing everybody complain constantly over and over again about this and that, and the other. And it's just like, man, or oh my God, I'm gonna go pay for this, I'm gonna go buy that, I'm gonna go pay that. I'm like, God, it's just
or what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Hey, can you look at that? Yeah, come on.
Stay in your lane, man. Stay in your lane and just pay attention to what you need to do right now, right?
Heck yeah.
Focus on yourself, forget all the white noise. Everybody out there is trying to talk shit about everybody else and embrace that. Just do your thing, man, because it doesn't matter. It's a waste of energy to even worry about what people think about you, what you're doing. Seriously. Right. It's about you. The only one you're in competition with is yourself. 1,000%.
And a good book on that, if anyone wants to read it, just as we close out, Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. If you want to talk about the process, man, you watch how many times that man just failed to build Nike. And he just was in love with the process. He was in love with the day-to-day, the chasing and pursuit of becoming better every day. And look at his result. I mean, I don't know a single person that doesn't know who Nike is. You know?
You got to be living under a rock if you don't.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. Well, hey, it was great kicking back and chatting with you, Ross. This is Real Talk with Chris and Ross, episode number 16. We're always excited to come here, lay out some stuff. Hopefully those are listening out there in the podcast world. We hope we shared some things with you, maybe some insight, maybe a few nuggets, maybe things you can take back. If you're always curious for more, feel free to reach out to us. Check out our Team Freedom YouTube channel. Has every one of our videos on it and our other weekly podcasts on there. But until next week, I'll bid you guys an amazing week and go out and crush it. Love you guys.
We'll see you.